There exists within you a dimension not fully grasped, yet shapes every interaction you experience. This is the uncommon essence of the authentic empath. I must clarify, this is not simply a talent for feeling deeply, as romantics might portray. At its origin, it is an injury that has been alchemized into profound sight. It is the shadow converted into vision. If you are listening now, it is because existence has carved a channel in your soul deep enough for the unconscious current to move through. We consider empathy a virtue, a sacred kindness. In a way, it is, yet beneath this radiant layer exists something more ancient, something archetypal. The legacy of the wounded healer, the resonance of Chiron, who could not cure his own agony, yet intimately knew the suffering of all beings. This is your inheritance, and it is both a benediction and a caution. When I mention an aura, I do not speak of a mere poetic gleam. I refer to that subtle psychic field, the energy emanating from you when your inner and outer realities align with the deep unconscious. Most individuals exist as if clad in thick armor. Their minds are shielded by rigid beliefs, their hearts barricaded behind walls of fear and persona. But the true empath has often, unwillingly, had this armor removed. Typically, it was not by choice, but for survival. You, the empath, were compelled early to decipher unspoken language, to detect tension in a space, to anticipate needs before they became conscious thought. Perhaps it was a youth where love was conditional and silence held peril. Or perhaps a volatile presence whose temperament dictated your security. Regardless, you learned your own feelings were secondary. That survival depended on sensing, accurately and deeply, what others held within. This is the genesis of your aura. It is not merely light, but an archaic alert system transformed into intuition. But I warn you, for this aura, as rare as it is, attracts both illumination and darkness. You shine in a manner that fragmented souls can perceive. You stir in them both yearning and dread. They may seek you for healing, for solace, for sustenance they cannot find within. And without care, they will drink from your soul until you feel depleted. When you carry the healer archetype, you attract those unprepared to mend themselves. Herein lies the peril. Empathy, if unconscious, becomes a cell, binding you to the pain of others until you cannot distinguish where they end and you begin. The unconscious communicates through symbols, dreams, strange encounters that feel fated. Perhaps you have dreamt of a dark forest, full of whispering voices, feeling the trees lean as if listening to your thoughts. This is not fantasy. It is your own psyche reminding you of your connection to the living web of feeling beyond the individual. Empaths walk through life as open instruments, and the world's music, its grief, its rage, its beauty, plays through them, consent or not. To live this way unaware is to become haunted by energies not your own. So consider this. What is the price of carrying every pain? Alchemy speaks of a vessel that must hold transformation. It must be strong enough to endure fire, to contain both poison and gold. If it cracks, all is lost. You are this vessel. If you do not learn to temper the heat of the world's suffering, to discern what is yours and what is not, you will fracture. You will grow resentful, exhausted, drained of the very vitality that makes your aura so uncommon. And you may call it fate, as if the world consumes beings like you. But it is not fate. It is an absence of shadow work. Shadow work is the path. For within your shadow, the part you buried, ignored, denied, lies the key to your boundaries. Many empaths believe saying no is cruel, that distancing from pain is selfish. But this is a delusion from an overgrown persona, the mask of the good, self-sacrificing one. The shadow, however, holds your anger, your self-preservation, your unvoiced desire to be free of burdens not your own. To become whole, you must let this shadow breathe. You must let the dark forest in your dreams speak, not as a threat, but as a guide. I have said the great privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. For the empath, This is more complex, for yourself has been molded by the emotions and needs of those around you. It is as if you stand before a mirror that has absorbed not just your reflection, but the reflections of all you have loved, feared, or tried to save. So when I ask who you are, you may struggle to answer. You are not the sum of others' wounds. You are not the echo of another's suffering. Yet you have built a life around being the balm. This is noble, but it is not your conclusion. There comes a moment for every true empath when the unconscious demands a confrontation. It may arrive as crisis, sudden burnout, a relationship ending in betrayal, or a dream so vivid it shakes your identity. This is the psyche declaring, enough. It is time to reclaim your energy. In this confrontation, you may feel you are abandoning those who lean on you. But understand, you cannot truly help anyone unconscious of your own boundaries. A healer who bleeds out saves no one. Empathy is not meant to be wound forever. It is meant to evolve into wisdom. Initially, empathy is raw, an exposed nerve sensitive to every vibration. But with inner work, it becomes discerning. It knows when to step forward and when to withdraw. It knows love is not about merging with another's pain, but about holding a space where transformation can occur. This distinguishes the conscious empath from one drowning in feelings. The conscious empath knows their aura is a mirror, not a sponge. It reflects truth, but need not absorb every shadow. The empath is kin to the mystic archetype. The mystic feels the world's pulse because they have walked into their own depths and returned knowing all souls are linked. This knowing does not lead to servitude, but to clarity. They see compassion is not about carrying another's burden, but awakening them to carry their own. So I urge you, stop apologizing for the boundaries you require. The very aura that makes you magnetic will only strengthen when you learn to protect it. There is another subtle danger. Many empaths mistake their gift for superiority, as if feeling deeply makes them more spiritual. This is an ego trap. True empathy has nothing to do with being better. It is, if anything, a sign of having touched existence's rawness so profoundly you can no longer hide behind illusions. This grants no throne. It gives a responsibility to live authentically. Remember, any aura, however rare, could be clouded by pride or bitterness if the shadow remains unexamined. I invite you to close your eyes. Imagine the rare aura you carry. See it not as a static glow, but a living field breathing with you, expanding and contracting like tides. Notice what images arise, perhaps a golden light or a pale flame in the dark. Whatever it is, know it reflects both your wounds and your strength. It is shaped by every kindness and by every boundary you ever failed to set. Your aura is not just who you are. It is who you have allowed yourself to become. And now, listening, you have the chance to shape it consciously. You might believe this aura, this subtle, energetic field others sense before you speak, is purely your natural goodness. But I tell you, it is forged in fire. It is the sum of all you have endured, witnessed, and absorbed without knowing why. The unconscious knows no boundaries. It does not respect the walls we build. As an empath, you were born with cracks in your walls, or perhaps they were shattered early. Those cracks became windows, letting the energies of others pour into you. At first, this overwhelms. You wonder why a crowded room exhausts you, why a stranger's sorrow lingers in your chest as your own. You wonder why some leave you hollow, while others fill you with life. This is because your psyche is a harp. Every vibration from the outer world resonates through your strings, chosen or not. But here lies the deeper truth. The rare aura is not mere receptivity. It is alchemy. It is the unconscious ability to transform pain into understanding, to turn unspoken suffering into a healing connection. Yet alchemy requires fire, and fire consumes. The danger is that without awareness to stoke this fire, it will burn you out long before illuminating another's path. I have seen this countless times. Sensitive souls who spend themselves until nothing remains, who give so much they collapse into resentment and fatigue. They forget that to be a vessel of light, one must also guard the flame. Empathy must be balanced with individuation. Individuation is the process of becoming whole, uniting conscious and unconscious, persona and shadow, the personal and the archetypal. For the empath, this is crucial. Without it, you are forever swept away by the tides of others' emotions. You must learn to descend into your own depth and ask, what do I truly feel? It sounds simple, but for many empaths, it is the hardest question. You have lived so long as a mirror, you have forgotten your own face. Your aura clouds when you cannot distinguish your light from others' reflections. There's a dream I once interpreted for a deeply empathic woman. She carried a bowl of water through a marketplace. Every person she passed dipped their hands in, taking water for themselves. Soon, the bowl was empty. She woke in deep sadness. Do you see? This is the life of an unconscious empath. You offer your water freely, but no one refills the bowl. If you are not careful, you believe this is your purpose, to give until nothing remains. But in the dream's next scene, which she did not notice until we spoke, a fountain appeared, hidden in a corner, flowing endlessly. This fountain was her own inner source, the self, the archetypal wellspring in us all. The empath's task is to find this fountain, to learn to draw from it rather than from limited reserves. Only then does giving become sustainable. Only then does the aura remain vibrant, not depleted. The mother archetype often manifests strongly in empaths, even in those not biological mothers. It is the instinct to nurture, to soothe, to hold others' suffering like a fragile child. But when this archetype inflates, it turns destructive, leading to martyrdom, to the belief one must sacrifice all. This is not true empathy. It is unconscious compulsion. True empathy understands the balance of giving and receiving. It knows boundaries are not walls of cruelty, but gates of clarity. Without these gates, your aura becomes porous, and you carry burdens never meant for you. The shadow grows restless, whispering through exhaustion, irritability, or illness. The body begins to carry what the psyche will not release. I also warn of the victim archetype. Many empaths, feeling the world's weight, unconsciously identify with suffering itself. They see their sensitivity as a curse, doomed to be drained by all they meet. This is not truth. It is a narrative created by the shadow to keep you from your power. The real power is not in absorbing pain, but in transforming it. To do this, you must first stop defining yourself by the wounds you carry. You must see empathy is not about drowning in the collective unconscious, but learning to navigate its depths. Think of diving into an ocean. Without knowing how to swim, you're swept under. But if you learn, those same waters become your ally. The collective unconscious is filled with guiding symbols, if you pay attention. Have you noticed the animals in your dreams? The serpent, the deer, the owl. These are not random. They are messengers of your psyche, revealing truths about how your empathy is used or misused. The serpent may represent transformation, shedding old skin, renewing boundaries. The deer symbolizes gentleness and vulnerability, reminding you to protect your heart without hardening it. The owl, with its watchful eyes, speaks of wisdom, the ability to see in the dark and perceive hidden emotions. Each symbol tells a story about your aura and what it needs to remain clear and strong. Remember, your aura is not static. It changes as you change. When you are balanced, grounded in yourself, your aura radiates clarity and draws those ready to heal. When you are fragmented, having abandoned your own needs, your aura becomes a beacon for chaos, attracting those who seek to project their wounds onto another. These are the emotional vampires, though I hesitate at the term. They're not evil, but lost in their own shadow. You cannot be their endless energy source. You must recognize when someone comes not to grow, but to feed on your light. This recognition is not unkindness, it is discernment. And discernment is love in its highest form. A profound solitude comes with being a true empath. You see and feel what others do not. You sense undercurrents in conversations, hidden grief behind a smile, unspoken tension between words. This can make you feel alien, as if living in a slightly different dimension. But this solitude is not punishment. It is a calling. The archetype of a seer, the oracle, lives within you. To carry such perception is to stand at the threshold between the conscious world and the mysteries of the unconscious. I tell you, the world needs such souls now more than ever. But not souls burned out or broken. It needs empaths who have learned to stand firm in their own center, who have turned their gift into a conscious tool, not a source of suffering. I will give you an image to hold. Imagine a candle in a dark room. The candle does not rush toward the darkness to fix it. It does not exhaust itself trying to illuminate every corner. It simply burns, steady and bright. By doing so, it naturally gives light. This is the way of the conscious empath. You do not need to absorb every shadow to bring healing. You only need to stay connected to your own flame. When you burn from within, others will find their way to your light. The right ones will light their own candles beside you. But remember, not everyone who approaches comes to light a candle. Some come with the wind of their chaos. You must protect your flame from being extinguished. The rare aura of a true empath is not born from perfection, but from the willingness to remain open in a world that has tried again and again to close you. It is the softness that survived the storm. Yet this softness is not weakness. Paradoxically, it is the truest strength. For to feel so deeply and still remain standing requires more courage than most comprehend. I must remind you, the gift of feeling is not the journey's end. It is the doorway. To stand in that doorway, without moving forward, is to remain forever overwhelmed by the tide of sensations. You must walk through it into the deeper chambers of your psyche, where empathy becomes not just a reflex, but a conscious act rooted in wisdom.